Modern men are giving up on the idea of a big house, a big car, and a lot of money in the bank. A lot of young people, not just men, do not see this as an appealing prospect anymore. And I'm noticing this more and more. You see, we have a lot of people on a channel like this one who say that young people are lazy, they don't want to work. But the reality of it is this: wrongly or rightly, a lot of young people don't want the same lifestyle that they saw their parents or grandparents having, even if that means that they can have nice things, or traditionally nice things. Because I think we live in a time now where a few things are true. We live in a time where we are more enlightened than ever. And that is just a fact. We have the internet, we have modern world. We don't necessarily have to do life endangering tasks every day, which does give us more time to think about what the actual meaning of life could be. Because obviously human evolution has gotten to a point. I mean, look at where we are right now. Not this woods, but this, right? This is a huge city with hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of people who live around here. And the great privilege that modern life provides gives us more time to think about what this next stage of human life is. And again, up until this point, people have just had to fight day to day just to get by. And yeah, that's still the case in the world of work and all these things, but you guys kind of get what I'm saying here. And with the internet and everything, we see different parts of the world, we see different lifestyles. I mean, yes, it's not reality, but we can virtually travel to, South America, Asia, Africa, anywhere in the world just by typing something into YouTube and just watching a video about this. We see a different way of life, we see different ways of life. We have more information at our fingertips than libraries of the past, even the greatest libraries could have ever provided to people. So people know more and more. And combine with that what people have seen from even their own parents and generations previous. People have seen parents who may have worked hard, may have actually achieved very well, but maybe they were always stressed, maybe they were not happy with their career. And like I say, we also live in a different world to them. We live in a world where, like it or not, housing prices are very, very high as a proportion of wages, especially here in the UK, right? It's increasingly unaffordable. We have seen things like the pandemic just a couple of years ago. And say what you want about these things, whether it matters or not, it's given people as a whole a new perspective. And I think increasingly a number of people think about what it is that they might want, what it is that they're working towards. And again, take young men as a specific demographic. This video does actually apply to everybody, but I'm a young man myself, so I want to give a realistic experience of my experience and others, right? I do still want to work to have nice things, but at the same time, I know a lot of people who, they don't see a point, right? Again, look at the statistics of loneliness, look at the statistics of single people, men and women. This applies for both, by the way, but we'll apply this specifically to young men. Why would you work towards nice things when you don't get the validation perhaps that previous generations might have done? They had, and a lot of people in our generation, myself included, still do, but there's also a lot of people who do not have social connections. They don't have meaningful relationships. They don't see a point in connecting with, or they can't connect with people, or they don't connect with people. And you add this into the mix, it's like you get some nice thing. It may help a little bit, it may validate you for a small amount of time, but then what happens, right? I would actually beg to disagree with the point, but a lot of people might say it's because the modern days made us go too soft. I think it has made us go a lot softer, and I think it may not be completely good, but at the same time, the tranquility that we are provided with in the modern world, and that is just a fact of it, it's allowed for a more spiritual understanding to come about. Because everything up until this point in human evolution has been about reaching a new high, a new pinnacle, a new point of excellence. And yes, it still is, but think about how we might actually be in some ways going downhill now. And please don't interpret that in the way that, oh, the world's ending. I don't mean anything like that, but think about how some of the major technologies in our life are actually now starting to hurt us. Like I say, there is less and less reason to go outside. And humans are not. They're interacting less, like I say, they're making less connection. So a lot of people are feeling a decreased stake in the world. And then you start to think about, again, going back to the point of spirituality, when we're so connected and we get into a pinnacle in a sense where we see what the future could look like at this current rate. All of our basic needs are taken care of. It is the hierarchy of needs, right? Up until this point in human evolution, I would argue, maybe I'm wrong, it's been about all of the important things, right? The base points of the hierarchy of needs. Now we've got everything that we basically need. We've got warm houses for the most part. We've got houses as a whole. Bear in mind that wouldn't have been a thing for most of human evolution in the same way. We've got everything we want at the click of a finger. We've got food from around the world, which wouldn't have even been a privilege 100 years ago. It would have been unfathomable. Think about this, right? We're living like kings and queens, and subsequently we're now at the point of self-actualization. And I think this is where most people are kind of getting hurt with this concept. We can all agree that we'd be a lot more miserable without food, water, heating, all these different things. But at the same time, everything after that, like a fancier new car or a bigger house, it comes with two things. Number one, it comes with a societal status, and it also comes with an increased need to work for a lot of people. So societal status, like I say, you may get some validation from even yourself or from society from driving a new Mercedes-Benz versus an old beat-up Ford, right? For example. Or you may buy a bigger TV, bigger house. Great. You feel great for a couple of weeks, months. But obviously then reality starts to check in, and your mortgage payments are higher, your car finance is a lot higher. And then it's like, okay, so the trade-off is I'm doing all of this stuff, I'm grinding this out, but there's no feasible end. Because then what happens? Well, like I say, use the car example or the house example. Someone's always got a bigger one, or a better one, or in the cars, a faster one, a more powerful one, whatever, a rarer one. And I think this is where a lot of people now are saying, right, so why bother with that? Why bother with that? Also, wrongly or rightly with this point, I think a lot of people are looking at the effort that is required to achieve this level of, maybe not personal, but definitely financial greatness. And again, going back to the point of work, asking how worth it is for them. I make a very big point on my channel that in countries like the UK, the US, yeah, we are taxed extremely highly. Yes, we do have a cost of living crisis, I wouldn't deny that. But at the same time, you can still make something of yourself. And that's why so many people want to come to these countries, die trying to come to these countries. That's the truth of the matter. But at the very same time, because we have everything, whilst you still can make it, the amount of work required to make it huge or big is large. Of course it is. If you want to build a business that makes, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15k a month so you can just live on the income, that's a lot of years or at least months of time investment, maybe cash investment, research. If you want to work a job and make big money, what do you need to do? Do you need to get a degree? Do you need to... And then you look at what you actually gain from that. And again, I still think it is worth it, but at the same time, I can completely understand the opposite end of the spectrum, why a lot of people think it's not. Because think about it, right? Outline this as a reality. A lot of people say, okay, so I get this degree, I get this car, I get this house, then I've got a bigger one to get. But what is the end goal of living in such a profligate world? Well, I think the end goal is that there isn't an end goal. And some people see this as an absolute motivation and a source of drive and determination. Other people see this as a complete reason why it's a waste of time. Because, let's say I get a promotion and I make an extra £10,000 or dollars. Okay, well, I could save that is one option. I could even potentially, if I'm working hourly, let's say, and my rate goes up, let's just say, for example, I could cut down on hours and work the same. Or I could take that money, not invest it, not cut down hours, and invest it in a fancier car, a bigger house, larger mortgage. The things that portray these status symbols. And a lot of people think, okay, so this is just a cycle then. Like I say, if you invest it in the right way, that's fine. But a lot of people would actually rather take option A. They'd rather work less, cut their hours down a little bit, and just spend their own time doing whatever they want. And when we have this idea of people not working or people working less, traditionally it's about some lazy fat guy, let's say, sat in a chair or a sofa, or even in bed playing Xbox and just being a loser. Increasingly, that's not true, right? And what I mean by that is, yeah, there are still a lot of people like that, but this idea of people not wanting to work is spreading to a larger group of people, or wanting to work less, because it's now your average person saying, okay, there's very few, and this is what I genuinely think. When you look at the work required to do it, there's very few people who would actually want to become a millionaire. You might want to, or a billionaire especially. You might like the concept of having 100 million in cash, or in the bank, or whatever you want to say, but you don't want to do the work. And most people sit there and say, okay, so I'm not going to be a millionaire because I don't want to, realistically. I don't see the point in spending more and more on living expenses for having an elevated lifestyle. What's the point, right? That's what a lot of people are starting to think. And I really do think that's why we're seeing these online cultures of like minimalism, of even actually encouraging working less, because again, to get rich you have to do a lot. Some people might say it's worth it, some people might say it's not. And we do still have a whole hustle culture in this generation. I think that's undeniable. But as I say, maybe it's from looking at their parents, maybe it's from the info that we have online. A lot of people look around now and they say, look, okay, so to become mega rich is a non-ending thing. If you're an entrepreneur or a business owner or builder, I think it's either in you or it's not. And what I mean by that is, I think you've either got the drive to do this and it's there forever, it's never going to go away, you're always going to see market opportunities, or you don't. And a lot of people are saying, okay, so I don't want the responsibilities or stresses of owning a business. And I don't necessarily see the benefits of driving a bigger or more fancy car or a bigger house. So why would I not just do the lifestyle that, yeah, allows me to get by, not be a jobless loser, right? But maybe make a couple of thousand online, or even a couple of hundred maybe, and live somewhere else, or live here and just make a couple of thousand in a job and not push yourself for promotions or any of these sorts of things. Why would I not do that if I don't want to? What would be the benefit of working to get rich all the time? And when you take that incentive away, or when that incentive is not there anymore, an increasing number of people will not want to work to get rich. And that's what we're seeing. That's just the fact of it, right? I'm not saying that's me. I'm not saying that's even you. I'm not saying it's a big thing. A lot of people, like I say, are in this hustle culture in our generation. But it is a thing. It's an undeniable fact. And I completely understand where these people are coming from, because a lot of them think, rightly or wrongly, that they're not going to get rich. They don't want the stresses of getting rich anyway. They know that whether it's an online business, a real world business, or a job, working to get rich is going to take a lot of years, potentially, if not a lot of stress or money, if not all three things. And I think, yeah, no, not for me. Is this a thing, guys? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure you will. Thank you.